Esoteric astrology is the astrology of the soul, inasmuch as it's exactly like traditional astrology from the point of view that the calculation and creation, let us say, of a natal chart is the same between a traditional astrologer and an esoteric astrologer. The difference comes in how to look at the chart and the level of looking at the chart. Traditional astrology often looks at a chart and tries to understand more of the mundane aspects of life. Esoteric astrology looks at a chart and sees much more of the subtle, deeper, soulful potentiality. It's trying to understand or share or reveal how the soul wants to pattern the nature of consciousness in the life, and it also reveals how the lower self may get into the way of that or inhibit that process, and what can be done to resolve that issue so that forward movement can indeed occur.
So traditional astrology, exoteric astrology, is often what we see in newspapers or the column in the magazine, and it often has a lot to do with our personality needs and desires, and when will I meet XYZ, when will I have XYZ, and it has very concrete, a very concrete focus. Esoteric astrology, no surprise, is interested in the soul gift. And so one of the primary differences with esoteric astrology is you cannot be an esoteric astrologist without looking at Rayology as well. Rayology is a powerful component of esoteric astrology. So we're not just looking at the planets, we are also looking at the ray makeup of each individual. Also, one of the very important differences with esoteric astrology is that the rising sign is most important. It is what is most emphasized. And the rising sign is the sign that was at the horizon the moment that we were born.
Most astrological systems emphasize the importance of the sun sign, also known as the birth sign, and the rising sign, also known as the ascendant. The birth sign is the sign of identity, and it can be understood as identity as soul or identity as personality. While the rising sign is incredibly important both to traditional view and esoteric view, but for different reasons. See, the rising sign is the sign that's cresting at the eastern horizon at the moment of your birth. Traditional astrology will say that the rising sign holds a clue to persona. That is to say, it says something about how you as a personality are seen in the world, or how you'd like to be seen, and sometimes it's been correlated to body image. Esoteric astrology says, yes, that's all true, but goes on to say that when a person is on the path, then the rising sign has a higher meaning, because it can represent the soul's deeper intention for this incarnation. You see, because it's the sign, as I said, that is cresting in the east, and the east is the direction of the spirit, and it's rising, so it can symbolize the soul's rising intention.
Also with esoteric astrology, there's a whole nother set of rulers. Aries is traditionally ruled by Mars, the fighter. But at the esoteric level, it's ruled by Mercury. It's a totally different ruler. And Mercury has to do with planting new ideas, which is a very Aries act. But it's a completely different rulership. So in esoteric astrology, we look at a whole new rulership of planets for each sign of the zodiac.
In esoteric astrology, the moon plays a pivotal or important role, as it does with all astrology systems. But in the esoteric view, when a person is on the path, that is to say, when a person has awoken to their higher nature, then the moon starts to have an added quality of understanding. It is said to be the symbol of the prison of the soul. That is to say, it can represent certain instinctual tendencies and patterns within consciousness that inhibit the soul from being more effective. So much of the path has to do with transforming or solving the so-called problem of the moon in one's chart. One of the unique aspects of esoteric astrology is that it accommodates an understanding that people are on different places on the evolutionary journey of life. And it's interesting because two people can have exactly the same chart. They could be born exactly at the same place, exactly at the same time. And yet one could be a very, very young human soul and one could be a very old soul, and yet the chart is exactly the same. The dilemma that traditional astrology has is that they tend to look at that and say, this is the chart, this is what it means. Esoteric astrology says, yes, this is the chart, but you have to take into consideration where on the path is the person with this chart.